The opposition KMT defends a congratulatory letter it sent to China on day one of the Communist Party Congress, calling the move standard practice. British police open an investigation into the assault of a Hong Kong pro-democracy protester at the Chinese Consulate in Manchester. Also ahead,
I'm Louise Watt and I've come to the Nangang Exhibition Centre in Taipei to find out why the company best known for assembling iPhones now wants you to buy a car.
Plus, 20 years in the making, we take you to an underwater wonderland off Taiwan's east coast. A warm welcome to TaiwanPlus News. I'm Yin Khvat. Taiwan's largest opposition party, the Kuomintang, has stirred controversy after sending a letter of congratulations to the Chinese Communist Party on the first day of its 20th Party Congress. Bing Wang reports.
Seen on Chinese state media, a congratulatory letter sent by Taiwan's main opposition Kuomintang, or KMT, to China's ruling Communist Party on the occasion of its 20th Party Conference. The letter has raised eyebrows in Taiwan, as in his opening speech, Chinese President Xi Jinping promised to bring Taipei under Beijing's control. There's little support for unification among the Taiwanese, particularly among younger voters. With local elections a month away, KMT Chair Eric Chu explained its party protocol to send a congratulatory letter to every Chinese Communist Party conference, which only takes place every 5 years.
依照惯例，没有任何特别的地方，但是我们还是强调我们的立场，捍卫中华民国，守护民主自由，维护两岸和平跟区域和平。
But not everyone is convinced by Chu's explanation. Already strained relations between Taipei and Beijing worsened after the Chinese military conducted large-scale drills surrounding Taiwan in August. The Chinese government claims Taiwan as part of its own territory and has not ruled out the use of force to take it, an assertion Xi reiterated in a speech to the party Congress.
但绝不承诺放弃使用武力，保留采取一切必要措施的选项。
Taiwan's foreign ministry rejected the Chinese president's stance.
台海跟区域的和平稳定是两岸共同的责任。那台湾也不会接受中国任何片面设定的这个终局啊。
Both Taiwan's government and the KMT are stressing the importance of maintaining peace and stability in the region. But the opposition's courtesy towards Beijing at a time of increasing Chinese military threats could be damaging for the upcoming local elections. As Naya Zhou and Bing Wang for TaiwanPlus.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken says China has begun speeding up plans to take over Taiwan under Xi Jinping. During a discussion with former Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice at Stanford University, Blinken said the status quo that has seen Taiwan and China ruled separately has been maintained successfully for decades. But he said China has changed course, threatening a conflict that could cause economic pain around the world.
There has been a change in the approach from Beijing toward Taiwan in recent years. And instead of sticking with the status quo that was established in a positive way, a fundamental decision that the status quo was no longer acceptable and that Beijing was determined to pursue reunification on a much faster timeline, and if peaceful means didn't work, then it would employ coercive means, and possibly, if coercive means don't work, maybe forceful means to achieve its objectives.
It's emerged that a large chunk of Taiwan's record military budget will be spent on personnel and logistics. An initial budget plan sent to lawmakers for review on Monday shows that over 30% of the $18 billion budget will go towards salary and benefits for Taiwan's troops. Another $2.8 billion will go on logistics, specifically fuel, spare parts, ammunition and maintenance. Taiwan's defense ministry says that maintenance is becoming more important as increasing activity by Chinese forces near the country mean it must frequently dispatch planes and warships to monitor their movements. It comes as Taiwan's defense minister on Tuesday clarified that any incursion into the country's territorial airspace would be considered a first strike and that Taiwan would return fire.
我们做的任何一个反制都叫自卫反击，是这样界定。能打下来啊，是这样的，因为这第一期他发起的嘛。
Taiwan's defense ministry has said that any military plane from China that crosses into its territorial airspace will be deemed a, quote, first strike. Fighter jets from China have been regularly crossing Taiwan's air defense zone, or ADIZ, which is not the country's airspace but acts as a security buffer. To find out more about the implications of Taiwan's new defense policy, Jaime Ocon spoke to Ben Lewis, an independent defense analyst based in Washington, D.C.
So the defense minister has said that any fighter jet that crosses into Taiwan's territorial airspace would be considered a first strike. Can you explain what that means?
And basically what MND is saying is that, you know, we've seen planes go into the ADIZ quite a bit, but never into the territorial airspace. And the rule is now that if you fly a military aircraft to our airspace, we'll consider that the first shot fired of the war. And so the interesting thing is, in my opinion, that Taiwan has always held the policy, we're never going to fire the first shot. But in technical senses now, flying an aircraft isn't firing a shot, although really if you fly into the territorial airspace with a military aircraft, I don't really know what your intent is other than to start a conflict. But Taiwan may fire the first shot of the war. And that's a very interesting and I think very significant change of policy by the MND. But I do think it's a smart call.
So can you explain the significance, like you talked about? So the significance of Taiwan making it clear where it draws the line in terms of defending itself?
I think it's very significant because, like you said, I mean, in deterrence, ambiguity is very important. But I think it's very important that Taiwan asserts its sovereignty in this way, because the PLA is going to push as far as they feel comfortable pushing. And if there was not something said, I'm not entirely sure that an aircraft wouldn't have violated territorial airspace. I didn't anticipate it coming anytime soon, but at the end of the day, you really never know what Xi Jinping is going to decide and what the PLA is going to do. It is very significant. I agree with the decision because I think it's a very important thing to demonstrate to the CCP and the PLA that there is a limit. We are going to stop you at some point, because if not, they're just going to keep pushing it.
Former lawmaker Huang Yijiao has died after falling from his 11th floor apartment. He was 69 years old. Huang was rushed to hospital after the fall, but doctors couldn't resuscitate him. Police say no suicide note has been found in his home. They also say no outsider entered Huang's apartment. Huang served 4 terms as a legislator, both as a member of the People First Party and Kuomintang. If his death is ruled as suicide, he will be the 4th politician from the current opposition camp to take his own life by jumping from a high-rise since 2017. British police say they are investigating an attack on pro-democracy protesters outside the Chinese consulate in Manchester. Ryan Kirkpatrick has more.
Chaos and bloodshed on the grounds of the Chinese consulate in Manchester as men clad in protective gear emerge from the consulate grounds and attack protesters, apparently led by the Consul General himself.
幾個嗰啲大陸佬走出嚟咁啊，燒毀我哋啲物品啦，跟住中途咧就我哋 stop 佢哋嘅時候咧，咁啊俾佢扯入去，咁啊拳打腳踢，係啦，咁啊後尾就係有警察就拉咗我翻出嚟。
According to Beijing's version of events, however, it was the protesters who forced their way into the consulate.
滋扰分子非法进入中国驻曼彻斯特总领馆，危及中国外交馆舍安全。任何国家的外交机构都有权采取必要措施，维护馆舍的安宁和尊严。
Tens of thousands of Hong Kongers have resettled in the United Kingdom since Beijing imposed a new national security law on the city in 2020, kicking off a crackdown that has all but banned political opposition. Friction between these new arrivals and more Beijing-friendly communities of overseas Chinese is nothing new, according to Carmen Lau, an elected pro-democracy official from Hong Kong, now living in exile in the UK.
In London, there was a Chinatown incident or assault last year happened in November. Pro-China group having conflicts with Hong Kong protesters. They start to tear down the flags and assault the protesters from Hong Kong. It quickly became a fight. Met Police, they made a statement at first, mentioned this to be assault or an incident between different Chinese communities.
But Lau says the incident in Manchester is different and could set a dangerous precedent if it goes unchecked.
The member of staff, and they're actually the management level member of staff in the Chinese consulate, they beat the protester directly. I thought that is a governmental level or foreign policy level issue instead of an incident between citizens in the UK. After these incidents, Hong Kongers, especially Hong Kongers in Manchester, they feel that their personal safety is not regarded. It was quite surprising that such kind of incidents can be happening in the UK as well, especially it's a protest outside a consulate.
The incident has been met with calls from across the UK political spectrum to take action. No arrests have yet been made, and Manchester police say they are still investigating. As China's diplomatic missions grow less diplomatic, the incident could be a litmus test for how much host countries are willing to accept. Ryan Hill-Kilpatrick for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan has once again not been invited to the annual Interpol General Assembly, which is taking place this week in the Indian capital of New Delhi. Interpol, short for the International Criminal Police Organization, facilitates worldwide police cooperation. Taiwan has been trying to gain observer status at the organization since 2016, but Interpol's General Secretary says Taiwan cannot attend or have observer status because they officially view Taiwan as part of China. Taiwan's foreign ministry has expressed dissatisfaction over the decision.
台湾身为国际刑警的社群重要的一员，我们有高度的意愿跟优异的能力来为国际共同打击犯罪、跨国的犯罪来做出贡献。但是因为中国政府的横蛮的阻挠，台湾无法参与 Interpol 建立直接而且及时的情报的交换。
Taiwan's Labour Fund lost 6.2% of its value between January and August. That's a bigger hit than it took after the 2008 global financial crisis. The fund covers everything from pensions to workers' accident insurance. Losses amounted to more than $10 billion. It follows the Taiwan stock market tumbling 32% during the period, despite intervention from the National Stabilization Fund in July. While markets around the world have suffered this year, Taiwan's has been hit particularly hard by the economic slowdown in China and US chip sanctions. The Labour Ministry says a recovery is unlikely before the end of the year. Taiwan's Premier Su Zhentang has tested positive for COVID-19. The 75-year-old had received 2 doses each of the AstraZeneca vaccine and the Taiwan-made Medigen jab. He will self-isolate at home for a week, as required by Taiwan pandemic rules. Su's infection comes as the country recorded almost 45,000 new cases and 33 COVID-related deaths on Tuesday. Taiwan is cleaning up in the wake of Tropical Storm Nesat. Officials received over 400 reports of disaster situations as the storm dumped rain across Taiwan's north and east. Over 1,000 millimeters of rain fell in places over the course of 3 days, while mudslides in some mountainous areas blocked roads. Although the storm has passed Taiwan, more bad weather is expected to hit the country over the weekend. Foxconn, the world's largest contract electronics manufacturer, is known for assembling smartphones. Now the Taiwanese company wants to make electric vehicles too. TaiwanPlus reporter Louise Watt went to the company's annual Tech Day on Tuesday in Taipei, where it showed off its latest vehicle prototypes.
The billionaire founder of Foxconn, Terry Gou, drives on stage in the company's latest invention, an electric vehicle. The Taiwanese tech giant is used to making iPhones. Now they want to make your future car too. Foxconn, also known as Honghai, is diversifying into electric vehicles, or EVs. This is what they call their Model B for Beauty prototype, designed in conjunction with Pininfarina, an Italian firm that has designed Ferraris.
电动车产业呢，其实是在台湾除了半导体工业以外，第二座对台湾未来工业转型升级发展非常重要的产业。
Also at their tech day, Foxconn unveiled their prototype for an electric pickup truck, the first designed and manufactured in Taiwan. Taiwan has never been known for making cars, but it's well placed to make a splash in the electric vehicles industry. That's because it makes a lot of the components that go into them. But will it be able to make complete electric vehicles that rival Tesla? For now, Foxconn says it doesn't want its own EV brand. It's looking for customers who are interested in releasing Foxconn's prototypes themselves. A contract manufacturer at heart, Foxconn's also interested in helping leading EV makers produce their own cars.
I hope one day we can do Tesla cars for Tesla. One day.
As global demand for EVs grows, Foxconn is trying to jump on the bandwagon. Last year, it unveiled its Model C prototype. That's now being made by Foxtron, a joint venture between Foxconn and Taiwanese car maker Yulon. It's the first passenger EV designed and produced in Taiwan. Last month, more than 15,000 pre-orders were placed in just 2 days. All in all, Foxconn has designed 5 EV concept prototypes in just 2 years. But industry analysts think it's got a long way to go.
Foxconn has earned its stripes, its thick skin, its scars from being a contract manufacturer to Apple, but we're talking apples and oranges literally when we're dealing with manufacturing iPhones versus designing, developing, and then manufacturing electric vehicles.
Foxconn says it's able to make EVs in Taiwan, the US, and Thailand, and is in talks to produce them in Indonesia and India. For now, though, only the Model C and an electric bus are in commercial production. Foxconn chairman Liu says he hopes what they are calling the B for Beauty sporty crossover hatchback will be on the market in 2024. They're targeting younger, environmentally conscious drivers, but what's still missing at the moment is a partner to bring it to market. Klein Wong and Louise Watt for TaiwanPlus.
Coming up, Taiwan's elusive leopard cat is seen for the first time in nearly 2 years doing something very special. We'll explain after the break.
In a changing world, when voices are being silenced, TaiwanPlus is listening. We tell those stories. No compromise, no boundaries,
people in Taiwan.
no fear.
I want to study Chinese. I'm Ryan Kilpatrick. Capital Taipei. TaiwanPlus.
TaiwanPlus News.
Welcome back. You're watching TaiwanPlus News. Let's take a look at some international headlines. Japan's Prime Minister has ordered an investigation into the activities of the Unification Church amid rising anger over his party's ties to the religious group. The Liberal Democratic Party's links with the church came to light after the assassination of former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe in July. The assassin said the church had bankrupted his mother through donations and cited Abe's support for the organization as his motive. That's led to a wave of other complaints against the church, including accusations of forced donations. A party survey has found that around half of LDP lawmakers had some level of contact with the church. A fighter jet has crashed into an apartment block in southern Russia, killing at least 13 people. The Russian Defense Ministry says the Su-34 fighter bomber was on a training mission when an engine caught fire. The pilots ejected, but the plane crashed into a residential area. Tons of fuel exploded on impact. The town is home to a naval airbase. K-pop supergroup BTS is set to report for duty under South Korea's conscription laws. The news comes months after the 7-member group announced a break. It ends speculation about whether the group would be exempt from military service, as are some high-achieving athletes and performers. South Korea requires all capable male citizens to serve at least 18 months. Visually impaired students face many challenges in the classroom. Now a Taiwan university has come up with a way to make at least one subject more accessible. Eric Gao reports.
Making learning math easier for the blind. National Taiwan Normal University has developed a new system to help blind students communicate about the subject with their sighted peers and teachers.
我们会听到它这个式子，然后呢，我们点字上面摸到的也会是正确的数理点字，所以3个东西就可以整合在一起，就是明眼的符号，然后语音还有点字，我们都可以互相做沟通。
The system is called Access 8 Math, or A8M. It was developed to help the first fully blind student to study at the university's math department in about 8 decades.
如果要跟同学做同侪的交流啊、讨论，或者是老师要看你写的东西，如果他们都不会数学点字的话，其实都没有办法跟你做一些互动。
Because A8M requires a computer, developers say it's only suitable for students in at least the high school level. They're working to improve the system to help more blind students get into math. Rick Yi and Eric Gao for TaiwanPlus.
20 years ago, Taiwan's eastern county of Hualien used steel from scrapped warships to help create fish reefs. Now, after 2 decades, a team of divers has been to see if life near the renewed reef is flourishing. Jaime Ocon has this story.
For the first time in 20 years, divers are getting a look at this restored sea reef off the coast of Taiwan's eastern Hualien County. It was born from a scrapped warship. In 2002, part of the Yueyang was sunk to serve as the foundation for what marine specialists call a warship reef. Seeing how well that turned out has prompted local officials to take action to protect its growth.
我们要把它这个成立一个保护区，让我们这个海洋的这些底栖鱼类跟生物能够有一个庇护的场所。
The local government says it has successfully placed similar steel reefs in other areas along Taiwan's east coast. These reefs are now home to a variety of fish, coral, and other marine life, due partly to the strength of the metal and how it can withstand the elements.
钢铁礁是最具有距离的效果因为钢铁礁它是连本的整座的下去，沿了的区域它不受台风的影响。
With the steel reefs proving to be an effective means of restoring the marine ecosystem, experts are optimistic that Taiwan's reefs can be rebuilt with the help of one warship at a time. James Rayner and Jaime Ocon for TaiwanPlus.
Good news for animal lovers. Leopard cats have been spotted using an animal crossing made specifically for them. Eric Gao has the details.
Elusive felines photographed at last. After almost 2 years, specially made animal crossings in central Taiwan's Miaoli have been used by endangered leopard cats, the species they were originally intended for.
我们也发现到有一对15的母子从这边来利用这个通道来通过。那我想我们后续还会再继续来做一个这个监测。
The crossings were made to help animals safely cross a river without venturing onto dangerous roadways. They are the first of their kind to be built in the country. Leopard cats had previously been spotted climbing on top of the crossing, but not actually going through it. Other animals, like civets and even house cats, have been taking advantage of the crossings too.
是确定了，就是这种动物通道对于动物来说是可利用的，所以呢，后续其实当然就会希望县府或是相关单位可以在本来有造成阻隔的，不管是道路或者是溪流，应该是可以应用的。
The leopard cat is Taiwan's last surviving species of wild cat. More of these crossings could help the animals thrive and get them off the list of endangered species. Kama Xu and Eric Gao for TaiwanPlus.
Tuan, one of Taipei Zoo's giant pandas, has suffered a setback in his recovery from a brain lesion. The 18-year-old has been undergoing treatment away from his enclosure since August after suffering from an epileptic seizure. While he has made progress in his recovery, zookeepers recently noticed weakness in his hind legs. Tuan was originally expected to return to the public eye as early as this week, but authorities at the zoo have now decided to keep him under close observation.
那他的腿的部分，如果有出现像这样子就是软脚的状况，那如果还是有在的话，我们不排除应该是会找个时间去帮他再做一次这个 MRI 影像的一个比对，在脑炎还有就是在肿瘤部分的界定上，可能还是要去靠后续的一些检验去做一些排除。
Taiwan has made it to the second round of the Under-23's Baseball World Cup, which is being held in the country this year. Team Taiwan advanced after beating South Africa on Monday by a score of 14-1 in Taichung. They were led by a 3 RBI double from catcher Zhang Shenghao. Taiwan is the only remaining undefeated team in the tournament and will go on to face defending champions Venezuela on Tuesday. Thank you for watching TaiwanPlus News. Take care and see you next time.